legends, I hope you're all amazing. On today's video, we're checking out the Digitech Studio Quad V2, which is a 4-in, 4-out effects processor. And yeah, you guessed it, you can run up to 4 simultaneous effects on this particular unit. It is interesting in the regard that you have this semi-modular little grid system on here with a bit of control over it. It's nothing like a modern unit like the Axe-Fx or even something like the TC Electronics GeForce, but it does let you do some interesting block routings on there. There's also a modifier system on here, so you can take MIDI CCs or onboard LFOs and envelopes and attach them to parameters for real-time control on there. In that regard, it kind of reminds me of like a slimmed down Lexicon PCM81. The other comparison I will make before we make any noise is that this was very much marketed as a working man's rack unit, kind of like the Alesis Quad Reverb. You know, not every guitar player in the late 80s or early 90s was walking around with racks full of Eventides and Soldanos. Lots of people were making noise with things like this or the Quad Reverb. You know, they're very much the working man's multi-effects unit. So let's just hear my utterly greasy, distorted, dry sound first, then I'll kick in a dual detune on here. Yeah, it gets really, really wide on there. I think that sounds really good. That's just a basic ±9 pitch detune, classic Eddie Van Halen style thing. If you want to edit any of the parameters in here or change the effect type, you hit Effects Edit, and then we can page across, and let's say we have a look at the detuners. If I want to change this parameter, I press button 1 and then I use the onboard encoder. So let's maybe go for -11% detune. Let's press button 2 and go for 13%, and I can play around with the detune delay times on here as well. I'll just turn those up and let's have a listen to that. It's actually a very straightforward interface to use, in my opinion, especially compared to some other units. We can take that next level with like an 8-voice detune if we want. Check this one out. As you would expect, this 8-voice detune is amazing on clean sounds as well. While we're rolling with this clean Strat sound as well, you have 2-voice, 4-voice, and 8-voice choruses, or chori as I would call them. This is just the 4-voice chorus, and you'll notice in the effects edit section on here, you can actually select between various preset types, so you can dial in your own custom types. This is one that I've dialed in. I'll just go through a few of the presets as well, because I think they sound really good. There are, of course, dual delays and quad tap delays in here, which you can edit so that you can set the core delay time, which I've got at 500 milliseconds here. You can set the delay ratios. So here's a kind of classic quarter note, dotted eighth note, dual delay thing that I love. My favorite delay type in here is the analog mode, though you can see the parameters available are a little bit more varied than the dual delay. You've got control over the delay time feedback. You can also tap the delay times in, but you've got this smear parameter. You've got a low pass filter that you can either place before the main delay or afterwards, as well as being able to set the frequency of that low pass filter on there. The smear control I love turning up. It just gives it a little bit more character, and this kind of the closest thing you can get to like a crusty old, I would even say vintage digital delay. It doesn't really sound like an analog delay to me. It's more like an early digital delay, something like, you know, the Korg SDDs or the Roland SDE. I think I got those the right way around. Anyway, I love this lead delay. Take that patch, which I really like the sound of, and turn it into something a little bit more interesting with the modifier matrix in here. If I just hit effects edit, you'll see I can set up the level so that it is mapped to the dynamics, meaning the input envelope on here. So it's a dynamic delay or a ducking delay. Furthermore, I have set up an onboard LFO and assigned it to the pan for the delay. So my delay is going to pan across the stereo spectrum. Same core tone, now with some dynamic delay goodness. There is an onboard intelligent harmonizer. I've just set it up for a diatonic third up in C minor because I am in drop C. So let's play something with that. Now that's the kind of thing that I imagine back in the day people wouldn't leave on all the time. You might just kick that in for a particular phrase and like close enough for rock and roll. It's not the most amazing diatonic pitch shifter I've ever heard, but I've got the advantage of like 25, 30 years of extra development with this stuff. And of course, Digitech did a lot of amazing stuff when it comes to pitch shifting, especially in the whammy, and the modern whammy DT does some amazing pitch shifting things. So this is very much part of that story, I feel. What else do we have on here? This is a fun thing. You can see I've now got 2 effects blocks in here. As I said, you can run up to 4, but what I'm doing is I'm running, what am I doing? A reverb, 100% wet into a trem. So what's cool about this, because I'm running the unit in parallel at the moment, is I can have a big reverb and then the trails can be modulated by the trem, but my main guitar sound isn't going to be modulated by the trem. So let's just hear that. Let's hear it distort, and then I'll grab the Strat again. I'm jumping all over the place. Another fun thing to do in units like this is to route effects in parallel. I simply have a stereo reverb and an analog delay in parallel. You will hear the reverb decay cut off before the delay feedback does. So the delay is not feeding the reverb directly in here. I've talked about parallel routing a lot on my Axe Effects videos, and it is a good way in certain situations to just kind of keep your guitar sound a little more refined or clean, if you like it. Let's hear this. Speaking of reverbs, lots and lots of different options to do with reverb in here. I've got this one set up at the moment as a concert hall with 2 and a bit seconds of decay and the level turned up. Let's just have a listen to this one. I think a concert hall is always indicative of what you're going to get out of a particular reverb unit. So it's a pretty good bread and butter reverb. It doesn't sound as rich and lush as something like a Lexicon, but it is no slouch either. And again, for the purpose this is designed for, I think it would have been totally fine back in the day. Let's hear the Smooth Hall preset now. Pluto Verb preset is really, really fun, as you can hear if you like ambient noodling. All right, let's hear 3 effects in a row. I'm not going to do 4 effects in a row, but you get the idea. 3 in a row here. We've got a dual flanger running into a dual detune, running into a dual delay. This one vaguely gives me like an Andy Summers kind of vibe. So it definitely does the bread and butter stuff totally fine on here. I will leave you with one last effect type in here. There is this chorus and delay kind of dual block in here, which is really nice if you want to run this dual block together with a reverb and maybe something else if you want really big effect chains on here. But what's cool about it is you can control the routing, whether you go chorus into delay or delay into chorus, and you can place the feedback either on the delay or the chorus, which is kind of interesting. Anyway, the way I'm running this is chorus into delay, running it in parallel, and this way I'm kind of simulating a pseudo modulated delay on here. I've got some more dirt on the Strat, and it sounds like this. Thank you all so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed some of the tones. Feel free to let me know what you thought, whether you really enjoyed them, whether they weren't for you. Let me know in the comments section below. And if you want to support the channel directly, there are links to the music I make with my band Ragdoll and my Patreon in the video description. Again, thank you, Brian, for sending this unit out. It actually really surprised me, and I think I like this one even more than the 2120 because it is much more upfront and all about the effects. Let me know what you all thought in the comment section, though. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.